Oh, and I'm sweating because I've been running. I've just been shifting stuff around and cleaning up, and maybe making a bigger mess than it was in the first place. And I was down somewhere in the factory using the vacuum cleaner and suddenly realized that it was time for the stream to start. So, okay. I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Windchill Noongar peoples. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and to Aboriginal elders and peoples from other communities who may be taking part in this live stream today. Welcome, everybody. Hey, Shubham. Chip is here, so the barbecue is on today. Two's a bonus, get to catch some peeps. Yes, Chip is on his way down. I assume Emmy is with you. I hope so. Who else is here? Stephen, Keith. Oh, Keith says onions are ready. David is here. I think we might end up with lots and lots of onion today. So today was now the hackerspace out in Hawthorne. I was going to say the local hackerspace, but it's not as local as some others, to me at least. CCHS, Connected Community Hackerspace, hackmelbourne.org. The original has regular fundraising barbecues at Bunnings, and they had one scheduled for today. And so Lachlan had a carload of stuff to take down. They had all the sausages and bread and onions and everything else. All the people to run the barbecue turned up there, and it turns out they were double booked. There was another group, another community group that was also doing a barbecue today. So they ended up with an entire Bunnings barbecue worth of stuff that they can't use today. So all of the meat has gone in the freezer, but Lachlan said he's probably going to be turning up today with a bulk supply of bread and onion and other stuff. So I think we're going to be very well catered today. Celtic Beast is here. Steve the Squirrel is here. You know, I don't know why, but just a second ago, as I was seeing this come up in the chat, I saw this thing that Steve says all the time, which is, "Oh, look, a diode. I'm just going to go that way." How did I not realize the levels to that joke? I don't know. There are multiple angles to that particular joke, and I just did not get it. It was like just a sentence until about 3 minutes ago. Yes, and as Steve says, just remember, mods and members can use !say to speak to me and to the rest of you as well, because the audio comes up here. James says, date night with the wife. We have a babysitter, so I won't be in the stream. Well, we'll miss you, James, but have fun on your date night. I'm sure you will. Henrik says, hello. Don't press the big red button. I'll try not to. Ecognito. Ecognito 3. I'll be heading in. Very good. Sion. Good morning, Sion. Stephen is also here. Stephen George. I think, yeah, there's Stephen W. and Stephen George. Amanda is here. Yes, Sion, I am barbecuing today, so if you would like to come on over, you'd be very, very welcome. David is here, and Mark. Okay, so what am I doing? I caught a couple of things in the chat that are worth following up on. Firstly, where is it? It wasn't a specific comment. It was just the fact that Sion has jumped in the chat with a moo. And so over the last little while, I've been doing the... Rob V is here as well. And Emmy. So I've been doing the conveyor belt. Oh, Austin. Beaming in from the other side of the planet. So I've been doing the conveyor belt project. And if anybody's interested in that sort of thing, you should also check out Sion's conveyor belt project. Now, at first glance, you might think, why are the two of you doing conveyor belt projects? Why don't you just collaborate and do one together? But the thing is that what we are doing, it might sound the same, but it's not the same. So we are both doing conveyor belts for PCBs between machines on a production line, but our requirements are totally different, and the hardware that we are working with is very different, so it really does not make sense to try to make any commonality between it. So the situation is, Sion has real conveyor belts. He has conveyors that have so they've got the SMEMA integration with the upstream and downstream connections, so that they can run automatically, and they have cranks so that you can adjust the width of the conveyor. So the conveyor, once it's been set, will do its conveyor-y thing, move boards from one place to another. But if he wants to set up the line, set up his production line to run a job, what he has to do is crank, like turn the handle on the conveyor, there's a crank on the front of it, to adjust the width to match the pick and place machine and everything else that's on the line. So Sion's goal is to be able to automate that adjustment process. The rest of the way his conveyors work is fine. As far as I know, I haven't heard any complaints from him about it. So they work fine as conveyors, and the integration is fine. It's just doing the width adjustment. So what he's done, with the help of a friend, is machine up a fitting that replaces the normal crank connection. Also, what we should do is drop a link to Sion's channel, or even the specific video. Sion, you're a mod, so if you like, you could drop a some call it fun is here, Illuminator is here. Mitchell, what? You have to go and fill the generator up. Load shedding. Great. So you're sitting in darkness, apart from the fact that you're running a generator. Yeah, so yes, Shubham has asked for the link. Yes, so there was a live stream just last, when was it, Wednesday? I can't remember. Thank you, Sion. Very good. The link is in the chat. So Sion has been talking through the process. So what he's done is replaced the shaft that has the manual crank on it with an adapter that allows a stepper motor to be integrated onto the same position, and then the shaft comes out the back, and then the crank can go onto that. So you can, if the stepper motor is not trying to hold position, you can still turn the crank manually and adjust the conveyor to whatever position you want. But you can also use the stepper to adjust the position. So that means Sion is facing some of the same challenges as I am, and some that are different. And so he is facing the challenge of, so there are issues with sensors, like PCB sensors and that sort of thing. Sion is going, I believe, based on the most recent thing I saw, going for a camera-based approach, and for detecting boards, so that when you try to adjust the position of the conveyor, it won't do it if it detects that there is a board sitting on it, which is a very important safety thing. Either you are going to try to reduce the width of the conveyor, which obviously is going to be really bad because the board will be in the middle and it will jam, or if you open the conveyor, it's going to dump it out on the floor. So there is sensing for boards on the conveyor. There is homing, so you need to be able to set the home position and then calibrate the width of the conveyor. And Sion is working on a board to do all of that, which is very cool. So the difference with mine is I'm building, ooh, nice. Oh, that's really cool. So Sion said, yep, already got some of that going. I can also use the camera to just observe the conveyor via a web interface. Yeah, that is really cool. That's something that I want to get more of. I've got a camera physically inside my first pick and place machine, which is the one that I'm actively using. And I've got a camera up in the corner of the cleanish room looking down into the room, which sort of, it catches the exit side of my, I'm just looking up for where it is. Yeah, I can see it on the wall up there. There's a monitor up on the wall. So with the monitor sitting right here at my computer, where I am right now, I can glance up and there is a monitor on the wall, and there is a camera inside the pick and place machine, so I can see it moving, and I can I can either hear or see if anything is going wrong, which does happen. And there is also the camera, which is the overview of the clean room from the far end looking back towards me, which means it sees the exit of the reflow oven. I can see the conveyor coming out of the oven just by glancing up, even though it's right down the far end of the clean room from me, and I can't see it from here directly. So having cameras in different places is really handy. And the other thing that I usually do when the pick and place machine is running, I usually screen share into the OpenPNP machine which is running it, and that means that sitting here at my computer, I have the user interface in front of me as if I'm at the conveyor, but I'm sitting here at my desk, and I can totally drive it by remote control. And that includes video feed. So video from the up camera that's used for part alignment, video from the down camera that's used for fiducials and all of those sorts of things. And that comes through on the screen sharing feed as well. So apart from when I have to physically touch the machine, like to, I don't know, clear a jammed feeder or whatever, I can 100% run it and observe it from here, sitting at my computer. I don't have to be in the same room, which is pretty cool. So yes, Sion, having a camera looking down at the conveyor, that is really cool. I assume it's looking down, you're not looking up. So you would have some kind of a structure over the top. You could do it looking up, of course, but then you've got a varying view, because the I'm waving my hands because I'm talking. I want to draw diagrams. Whenever I'm trying to discuss things, I usually draw, like I draw stupid little sketches. So what you could do is have the camera mounted underneath it looking up through the conveyor. But the thing is that if you were using very simple image comparison to detect if there was something on the conveyor, your reference image would vary depending on the position of the back rail. And as the rail moves, you would need to, you'd need to take a new reference image or something, so it wouldn't be ideal. If you have the, Sion says, plan is to be looking down at about 45 degrees from the opposite side from where I stand. Yeah, that sounds like a really sensible way to do it. Doing it from the opposite side, that would be handy. Yeah, that's fine from a functional perspective. Yeah, from a fixed position. Yep. Yeah, that's fine from a functional perspective. And if you're accustomed to looking at the conveyor, don't know if you could hear that. Classic Bayswater. I've got the doors and everything open today because it's leading into the barbecue and it's a beautiful day. So I thought I'd get some fresh air through. But that means that we are exposed to the fun of Bayswater. And weekends are like that when all the roads are clear. So all the factories around here are closed, basically apart from the gym just up the road and car related people, which means Saturdays and Sundays, when all of the other factories are closed and the streets are deserted, so there are no cars parked down the sides. Yeah, that's when the car people come out. Sion said, it only needs to capture an image if it's told to home. Otherwise, the camera can sleep and not cost anything to process, unless I want a web view. Yeah, nice. David asked, the wood guys across the road. No, they're not there right now. They were there yesterday for at least part of the day. Stuart and Nick were there. Oh, Shubham said, it's Martin Luther King Day on Monday here. Yeah, but usually Sundays the sawmill over the road is closed. Although quite often Sunday, like around lunchtime, Stuart will be there. Often turns up with his sons, just to do a few basic things. So maybe we'll see them at the barbecue today. I don't know. They have been known to turn up in the past. Yeah, so I had zero plan. Oh, I'm really curious now. I can see there is a message retracted from Some Call It Fun. I really want to know what that message was now. No, I can't even see the history. There's no way I can get it back. Mitchell, you did not miss much. So in terms of my own requirements, so at a very high level, what Sion is doing, his goal is, it's almost identical to mine. It's just that the way that we are getting there is different. So Sion's objective is he wants to be able to issue a command that resizes the conveyors on the different devices on the line. So he's got his stencil printer, there's a stencil printer, pick and place machine, reflow oven. Those are the obvious three things typically that you have in a pick and place line. And then there are like board stacker at the end, I think. So he's got four things, and then he's got conveyors in between those things. There's an inspection conveyor and transit conveyors just to move things between the different devices, which means that if you want to reconfigure a pick and place line for a different size. Now, one thing that Sion has done, which is very clever, this never even crossed my mind, but Sion's smarter than I am, so yeah, he came up with this idea, which is standardize on your panel sizes as much as possible. And so I can't remember what the size is. It's like 98 millimeters or 99 millimeters or something. Sion mentioned it in his live stream. Quite a few of Sion's products are panelized so that the panels are the exact same width. And that means that he doesn't have to reconfigure when he changes to assembling a different product. It's not the case for all of them, but it's the case for some of his products at least, which is a very good idea. So the result is that if you want to run a different product, and Sion just said in the chat he's got 5 conveyors, including the stacker and destacker, that have to be adjusted when he wants to reconfigure. Yeah. So changing the line is adjust the destacker. I don't know how the solder stencil printer works. Maybe that has to be adjusted. Maybe it's automatic. I don't know. The Juki would adjust itself, and then there are conveyors like inspection conveyor, etc. So he has to walk along the line and set the conveyors for all of these things and get them all to the correct size. It sounds like a really silly thing. Like, this is the thing is that once you start getting into manufacturing or this sort of automation, you discover all of these tasks that are, how do I put it? I'm just going to say it's a pain in the ass. And things that you wouldn't have predicted, like how annoying it is to have to reconfigure conveyor belt widths down a production line. It's not the sort of thing that you would think hey, this is going to be a challenge in my life. But you discover these things along the way. Yeah, so Sion said about 70% of them are 98.9 millimeters wide. And Sion said if I bought Juki conveyors, then they all already talk to each other, but I don't have enough kidneys left to pay for it. Yeah. And I don't have kidneys left to pay for anything either. So my solution, instead of spending like $1,500 or whatever it is to buy a conveyor, is to instead spend thousands and thousands of dollars worth of my time to make my own that I'm sure will end up half-assed What's that sound? It's a bird. Hang on, I'll be quiet for just a second. You hear that? Yeah. There are birds outside. They're being very, very noisy. They might be shouting at possums. No, actually, probably they are shouting at magpies. because there are magpies out there as well, and they'll be being upset by the yeah, it's a few birds. What was this? Incognito said, I've got 5% less kidney than the human average, but 10% more bile. I have no idea what what that is meant to mean. Okay, so as I said, instead of doing the sensible thing, doing some contracting work, making money, and then just buying a conveyor, I am using my time that I could otherwise be being paid for and making conveyors. I don't know why I do it to myself. Austin said, soon I'll be adding to the conveyor project list. Yeah, so Austin is also working on a fascinating project, which is the gift card vending machine. And is the conveyor system related to that? I don't know. Ooh. Sion, I'm going to hold you to that. Might even do a get together one day. Yes. I want to check out Sion's factory. That would be really, really cool. Yeah. Conveyors are not that expensive, around $600 each for 600 to 800 millimeter length. Yes. This is the face I make when I'm questioning my life choices. $600 for a 600 to 800 millimeter conveyor versus building the mechanical structure myself. So, okay, I am going to retrospectively justify the decision that I have already made so that I can feel good about having made it the way that I made it and not regret that decision. Okay, here comes the retrospective justification. All right. Now, my logic is that I need, all right, my pick and place system, my assembly system is a bit of a strange one. It's weird because it came about just because of the circumstances of how I got these pick and place machines. The fact that I got 3 of them at the same time, and I got them secondhand, so they were dramatically cheaper than if I had gone out and bought them. So the amount that I paid for those 3 pick and place machines was tiny. I wonder if I should say the dollar value. I don't think I've ever actually said how much I paid for those machines. It was a shockingly small amount. And the result is my strategy, once I get these conveyors working and I get the second and third machines running, like the first machine has been doing the job for me so far. I haven't actually hit the limit of being at the point where I need the second machine in operation. It would help if I had it in operation, but it certainly hasn't been a hindrance not having the second and third machines running. So the first one is now at the stage, it's been in operation for a few months, it's produced thousands of boards, and I'm quite comfortable with the way it's working. I would like more feeders and I would like better feeders, but that's just the way it is. It's now in production state, so I can start thinking of the next level of how do I go beyond this and then get the second one set up the same way. And so the logic on the conveyors is similar to the machines. I put a lot of time into OpenKO so that I could link OpenPNP to that first pick and place machine. It took a huge amount of development time, a little bit on the hardware, a lot on the software. And so that it would be very hard to justify if I had one machine. the hours that I put into it, I mean, like hundreds and hundreds of hours. The way I logically justify that is that once I've done it for the first machine, and I've got the first machine running, doing that on other identical or similar machines is dramatically faster. I've got the control boards ready to go, the OpenKO board that we've been working on streams. All of the firmware is ready to go. All of the OpenPNP configuration, like all of the integration that's required, is done. So I could convert a KO A4 or probably a KO A8, you know, one of the similar machines that use the same communications protocol. And there are some other machines from other manufacturers that, well, when I say other manufacturers, other brands, but under the hood they're actually the same controllers and mostly the same mechanicals and things as the KOs. I can't remember what the other major brand is. Someone will tell me. So I could convert one of those now very, very quickly. And I've got things like converting the camera system over, replacing the 4-camera array with a single camera. I now know what camera to use because I experimented with a few. I've got the design for the 3D printed mount that adapts the existing camera mount to the new camera. All of that sort of stuff is done. So I can now do the second and third machines quite quickly. The same thinking goes towards the conveyors. If I only needed one conveyor and I could go out and buy one for $600, it would definitely be sensible to just go and buy one conveyor. Even if it was $1,500, it would be sensible to go out and buy one conveyor. The problem is that you need a conveyor between each pair of machines because the machines they're basically like big cubes with a hole in the side where their conveyor entries, like there's a hole on each side, conveyor entry, conveyor exit, like a slot like that. Well, a bit wider. How big is it? It's actually about 400 mil wide, but it's like a slot with the conveyor exposed on the end of it. You can't butt the machines against each other because then there is no access at all. They protrude, about 15 millimeters? So you would end up with the two machines about 30 millimeters apart, just a very thin slot between them, and you really need access between machines for when things go wrong. Not if they go wrong, but when they go wrong. So for joining machines together, you have to have an external conveyor that links the two machines so that you've got room to get in and deal with stuff. So the result is that I'm going to need an entry conveyor into the first machine, one between the first and second, one between the second and third, one between the third and the oven. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 conveyors there, and they could be of varying lengths. So the ones between the machines will probably be fairly short, like they might be 300 millimeters or something, so that there's room that you can get in and do stuff. But it's really just transiting boards between the machines, and it's a holding location so that if the first machine finishes a board and the second machine is not yet ready to receive it, the PCB can move into that transit location between the two and sit there waiting until the second machine is ready, and then the first machine can get on with doing the next one. So there needs to be at least a joining conveyor between machines, and then there needs to be an inspection conveyor as well. There needs to be somewhere that is big enough that you can physically sit there, like sitting at an electronics workbench, with magnification and probably some basic tools like, you know, tweezers and that sort of thing, because you need to check that the board is okay and probably put parts on. I'm trying to think if there are any. There probably are boards that I've done where 100% of the placements are done on the machine, but it would be really, really rare. Actually, yeah, there are. I can think of at least one. It's a very simple board, which I do in big panels. But yeah, there are a couple of boards that are done 100% in the machine, but it is the exception. Most of the time there will be at least one part that you have to put on by hand. Part of that is a limitation of my pick and place setup. So there are parts that I put on by hand that many other people, Sion for example, would have the machine put in place. Things like USB-C connectors. I always put those on by hand, and I think Sion's machine puts them on automatically. I probably could put them on in the machine. I don't have a feeder set up for them. But basically the optimization task is to look at all of the things, eliminate everything that you have to put on by hand. That's the goal. You want to start with, you start with a list, and eliminate everything that can't be put on by the machine. By eliminate, I don't necessarily mean you eliminate it from the design. I mean figure out a way to make the machine put it on. Alright, so I feel the need for a drink because I was rushing cleaning right up to the start of the stream, and because I do not want to guzzle on stream, I'm going to mute just for a second. That's better. And there's caffeine involved in it as well, so that will help me. Yes, I've been... Sion said there are sometimes that the effort to set up the machine for a specific part for a small run is not worth it, so I'll hand assemble those, but it's rare. Yep. Yeah, so I think Sion is a lot closer to assembly nirvana than I am, with pretty much everything being put on in the machine, but I'm definitely not there. Pretty much every board needs... oh, and the other thing is the variance in parts. So one of the differences is, I may be misrepresenting this, I don't know. So Sion's projects are mostly, hang on, is text-to-speech working?
Peter Lawler said, I am definitely not at work.
You're definitely not at work, okay. But you hear, Peter? I don't think I said hello to you earlier. Yeah, it comes down to variation in bill of materials as well, and production quantities. I tend to do smaller production quantities than Sion. It's pretty normal for me to be assembling 10 or 20 or 30 of something, you know, in that sort of number. Not necessarily hundreds of things, and also a wide variety of things. I have quite a few different client boards. So, for example, just for T-Rex, which is the water cannon company, how many? I think I have 7 different boards that I assemble for them, and you know, that's the sort of thing, like each client will have a range of boards that need to be assembled, and each one of those has a bill of materials that is 90% common if you just do it by placement count, but then the other 10% are things like a chip that is only on one specific board for one client out of the dozens and dozens of boards that I regularly assemble. So it's not worth having a feeder for it, or they might be things that are very expensive. Like it's pretty common for me to be putting down parts that might be worth in the $10 to $20 range for like one single part. And so buying a reel of that sort of thing, or even like a partial reel, the price is just ridiculous. So I often buy, it's fairly common for me to buy parts in quantities of like 10 or 20. So just because I only need to make 10 or 20 boards, plus a margin. Like if I need to build 10 boards, I'll order 12 parts if the parts are worth $15 each. That sort of thing. And then I'll hand place them, because setting up a machine to put down 10 parts is not very practical. Unless you use trays or... anyway. Why am I talking about this? I don't know how I ended up getting on this. So, way back at the start of the chat, I said there are a couple of things that I had noticed in the chat that got my attention, and then I started talking about conveyors because I saw Sion in the chat. What other things were there? Massive floods. Whoa. I'm just scrolling back in the chat. I just saw Mitchell's comment from right near the start. Massive floods this side of the world. Geez, I'm glad my side wasn't too bad for cleanup, but meh. Wow. Okay. That's not good. We've had some really bad flooding up in Queensland over the last couple of weeks as well, the last week, with cars floating down the road and that sort of thing. But Queensland seems to have that fairly commonly. The funny thing is that Queensland can be both flooding and on fire at the same time. It's just that sort of place. But Mitchell, where are you? I'm pretty sure you've told me in the past where your general geographic location is, but I can't remember. Are you in Canada or somewhere? I don't know. Massive floods. Yeah. Incognito said, I remember one year there was a shark swimming down the main road in a Queensland town. Yep.
Mitchell R said South Africa, specifically Durban, KwaZulu-Natal.
Oh, South Africa. Mitchell, I don't know why, but maybe, I know Austin is in Canada, and for some reason, I just kept thinking that you were in Canada as well. So I was visualizing you as being in Canada, not being in South Africa. It's minus 45 degrees, says PKKP. Hang on.
Mitchell R said it happens to the best of us, haha.
Yep. When minus 45, is that in C or Fahrenheit, and does it even matter? Either way, it's cold. Minus 45 Celsius, I know, is friggin' cold. I've experienced wind chill down in that sort of area. Like when I've been in places where the temperature was about minus, what was it? I think it was about minus 10, like just the static air temperature. And then it was windy as well, and the wind chill meant that it was like minus 45 Celsius. And that is shockingly cold. Like the air burns. It's crazy. Yeah, anything below minus 40 and either sucks. Yep. So minus 40 C is minus 40 F. That is ridiculously cold. Yeah. The time I experienced the minus 45 C was on a skiing trip, and I was carrying a pack of gear. It was going over a mountain pass, So we were skiing and carrying gear, like big backpacks full of gear, like Arctic explorers, basically. And the wind was going up over the crest of the mountain, over this pass. So there were peaks on either side of us, and there was like a pass in the middle, a saddle. And as we were going over it, the wind was being funneled through it. So it was both very cold and then the crazy wind, and any skin that was exposed, it was just like fire. Yeah, Andrew says, I have been in a -25 warehouse. Was okay at the start, but was glad to get out. Yeah. Yeah, if the air is still, it's not that bad. It's when the air is moving that, yeah, it's really, really bad. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? Now that I'm 42 minutes in and I've been talking about conveyors and not doing oh, PKKP said that's the temperature not including wind chill and it's windy. What? Where are you? Scott says coldest I've dealt with outdoors was -64C. Would not recommend. Yeah. Where was that? Was that in Antarctica or somewhere like that? I would really love to go there. Oh, Wyoming. Oh, okay. PK is in Wyoming. Yeah, I've heard it gets it gets cold in Wyoming. I didn't realize it got that cold though. I thought it just got like, you know, -10, -15 cold. I didn't know that it got that cold. Very near the North Pole. Okay. Scott, you have been on some adventures. All right. Now, conveyors. Where did I get to? So last month we were talking about conveyors. And last week. My brain has not been functioning. All right, little sideline. I'm going to chase a squirrel just for a second. During the last week, I've had really bad back pain, and I've been getting by on. So I've had to be stretching and taking painkillers and things. And oh yeah, Dion said, can go to Antarctica for about 25k. Start a GoFundMe. Yes, I know. I actually looked into that just recently, but yeah, way too much money. I do want to go to Antarctica. I want to see if I can wrangle a trip to Antarctica for the Ice Boys. And by boy, in that sense, it is, how do you spell that? BOUEY or whatever, Ice Buoy. Yeah. Anyway, so I've been in. Basically getting in and out of bed has been really, really hard, and couldn't put my shoes and socks on, you know, that sort of thing. My back has just been a total mess. And Amanda says, I've been in Antarctica for 6 months for work. Awesome. I would love to hear about that sometime. Yeah, so I've known a few people that have gone to Antarctica for work. And yeah, it just sounds like such an intriguing place. Sure, I see what you did there. Yes, that is really cool, Amanda. You did mention something about 2-year conversions. Yes. Okay, I will try to catch up on a couple of things in the chat in a second. So, I've had this. All right, backing up. I have had back pain pretty much my entire life, like lower back pain. It's varied at different times of my life. It's had different levels of severity, and I don't know for sure, but I think that the origin of it is that I fell out of a bunk bed onto a stone, I think it was stone floor, when I was about 6 years old. And it was a very high bunk bed. It was like a homemade bunk bed, and it didn't have a railing on the front of it. It was just exposed. So I rolled out in my sleep and fell from a great height onto a hard floor. And so I PK says, I've had 19 spinal surgeries, rods and screws from my neck to my butt. Cold hurts. Oh, that's bad. Sorry, I had to cough for a second. Yeah, so my hips are kind of twisted. I've got fairly severe anterior pelvic tilt, which means that my mobility through my hips is quite limited. And doing jiu-jitsu helps because it keeps me moving and keeps me mobile. And I find that if I don't do anything, then it can go, like everything tenses up and my back becomes really painful. So doing physical activity and staying mobile really helps. But something set it off, and during the last week it's been incredibly painful, and I haven't been able to, as I said, a day, or I think for one day I just got around in, what do I call them? I was going to say thongs, but people outside of Australia will think I mean something different to what I really mean. Flip-flops, because I couldn't put my shoes on. So I've been barefoot a bit recently. And so the result is that being in pain makes you really tired. So I have great sympathy for people who live with chronic conditions, with pain that just never goes away or that keeps recurring. When I have to deal with it to some extent, I'm in pain pretty much 100% of the time. It's just that most of the time it's very, very mild. It's things like I've got a rotator cuff injury on my right shoulder at the moment, so it hurts to lift my right arm. But that will pass, like that. I'll recover from that and it will be gone. And I've got pain in both my Achilles tendons and my left knee at the moment. But those things are fairly minor. The back is something that has become it's more severe, but once again that'll be short-lived. It'll go away. But for people who have to live with pain all the time, it's really debilitating. My heart goes out to people who have to deal with that, because it saps your energy and your motivation just to be in pain for a while. And if you're dealing with that constantly, it's a really tough thing, and it's a really tough place to be mentally. Shubham asked, Amanda, when you were in Antarctica, did you have connectivity like there is down there now? And Amanda said, I was there in 93. Yeah, so not a whole lot of internet in 1993. There was a little bit, but not a lot. So I started my internet business. I started in 1994, and at that point, basically nobody had heard of the internet. It was in use in universities, and the web was just starting to be a thing that some people had heard of but never actually seen. Like the most that people had heard of the internet was maybe, what was the big American one? I can't remember. Something online? I can't remember. Yeah, IRC days, ICQ days, yeah. Incognito said, I find I'm pretty cranky and short-tempered if in pain for a prolonged time. Yeah, it definitely affects your mood. Yeah, and PK says, I'm in pretty good pain all the time. It never stops. Yes, well, if you have a if you have a, oh, sorry, my brain just misfired. You said earlier you'd had 19 surgeries, so that is obviously a serious issue that you're dealing with. America Online, that's it, thanks Dion. So, pretty cranky, yes. That's really tough, PK. I hope you do have ways to get some relief from that. So Amanda, Shubham has all the questions for Amanda. Did you find the experience positive or negative? This is in relation to being in Antarctica for 6 months. What's that? Motorcycles. There's a motorcycle club house 1 block away from here, which is it's fortified. Like you would not want to try getting into that place. It is like a yeah, well, the best way I can describe it is fortified. You'd have trouble getting in. How would you get in? I don't know. You'd have trouble getting in with explosives. Sports bikes or cruisers? No, this is like cruisers. It's like Harleys and that sort of thing. Bikies, yes. And so every now and then there will be like a big group of 20 bikies will cruise down the street, make a whole lot of noise, and then head around the corner and down to the clubhouse. They normally come in from the other side though, so they don't often come past my way. Austin said, I've had over 40 surgeries myself for my ears. Other parts of me have had issues with pain, but thankfully not too bad. But the anxiety and depression mixed with autism can be fun at times. Yeah. So what you've really highlighted there, Austin, is the complication of multiple overlapping things as well, and the emotional impact of it. Oh, Gavin said, you need a camera feed to outside so that we can see the vehicles as they pass by. Yes, I actually need to get some more cameras. I only have, right now, I don't know if I should be disclosing this, disclosing something about my security arrangements. Right now, I have 4 cameras set up, and one of them is out the front, but it doesn't really, it doesn't capture much on the street. It captures my front door area, part the driveway, but not very well. It's sort of through some trees, and the cars that are parked directly out the front of me, but not really the other, like not the other half of the street. So it doesn't give a great view of things going past. You just sort of catch a glimpse of a car as it goes past. Austin says, just hope they aren't ubiquity cams. They are not. Oh, Gilco asked, how many KOs do you have? I have 3. I have 3 KO A4s. No, they're not ubiquity cams. They're not as good as ubiquity cams. I have Reolink PoE cameras. And what else do I have? At the moment, I have a Reolink NVR, and I would very much like to replace that, largely because I want to be able to integrate it with other things. At the moment, what's happening is my security cameras are going into the NVR and then being recorded, so all the cameras are being captured, and the HDMI output from the NVR is going into an HDMI splitter and then going to multiple destinations. So I've got a screen up on the wall just up to my left, I can watch it. I've got a big screen up in front of me, and there is a screen upstairs which are all showing the live camera feeds. So if I'm in different parts of the lab, most places I can glance over and see a screen that is showing the live camera feed. So I can, if I'm upstairs, for example, I can see if someone arrives. But, oh, is that what it's like? That's what it's about, Shubham. So Shubham just said, didn't Ubiquiti just suffer a major slip up on their cloud security? Yeah, okay. Oh, Austin says, I love my Reolink cams. I have 4 sites with them. Oh, cool. Yeah, the cameras themselves I have been very happy with. And the NVR, actually, as an NVR, it's fine. It does the job, no problem whatsoever. I have an 8-channel NVR with 4 cameras going into it. So I could plug in another 4 PoE cameras. But the thing is that what I want to be able to do is integrate those camera feeds into other things. Like I want to be able to bring them onto the stream here and do picture in picture and pull up one of the cameras, you know, those sorts of things. And the thing is that the Reolink network video recorder is kind of, well, all of these low-end Chinese video recorders are very limited in terms of their software integration. I can't even bring up the camera feed on my Mac, for example, because you can only view the interface on the network video recorder if you are running Internet Explorer or Edge on Windows with a plugin, which is like ridiculous. You can't view the interface unless you've got the plugin and it's Windows only, so I can't even see it. I can ping it up, I can pull it up on I can pull it up on my phone. There is an iPhone, the Reolink iPhone app connects to the NVR, and then I can do all of that stuff. But I can't do it from a computer because the browser just won't do it. Yeah, don't use a Chromium-based anything. Yes. If it doesn't work in Firefox. Right. The cameras are not that old. They're, well, when I say not that old, they're probably 4 years old. But the NVR is very basic. Right. Yeah. Hang on, here comes
Mitchell R. said Reolink should support ONVIF and RTSP, conditional though it seems. So in your case, pull from cams directly and ignore the NVR. Use the NVR for local viewing and recording only.
Yes, that works. So they do support...
Mitchell R. said 4 years is a long time in TechWall.
Yes, it is. So they do support RTSP. And so what I've been thinking of doing...
System notification.
1 hour remaining.
1 hour remaining.
So what I've been thinking of doing is just replacing the NVR, or something I hadn't really thought about, but now I am, given who was it? Mitchell? Yeah, Mitchell's comments. So pull from the cams directly and ignore the NVR. Use the NVR for local viewing and recording only. So what I could do is set up a second system that pulls the streams from the cameras and just leave the NVR doing its thing. And then if it's needed for security purposes, you know, looking back at what happened in the past for evidence or whatever, then the recordings are all in the NVR. And oh, Gavin says, have you tried the Home Assistant to Reolink method? No, I haven't. I don't actually have Home Assistant running, but I could check that out. Mitchell says, my biggest gripe with Reolink and a lot of the others is their smart cams don't support ONVIF Profile M Smart Analytics. Okay. I don't even know what that is. I don't know what I'm doing. That's why I ask other people to tell me what to do, to give me the answers. See, these live streams are just big opportunities for me to get people to help me with whatever I'm trying to do. But back to that. Okay, So this came back to the whole thing about I should have a camera in this pointing at the street. Andrew said, my Reolink NVR works okay accessing from my Mac with their app. Alright, maybe I need to find the Reolink app. In fact, I'm going to go to App Store and search for Reolink on the Mac. Maybe that will do the job. Search Reolink. Okay. Maybe this is what I want. Look, it's got two whole stars. Install. Let's see if I can get this going. Sign in required. Hang on. I am going to remove the view from this while I figure out what's going on here. Okay, so I need to sign into my Apple ID. If I can remember the Apple ID password. Looks like maybe I did. Is it working? Yes, it's working. Okay, so Mitchell said the profiles are like specs. So M was for like human vehicle detection, line crossing, etc. Right. Dion asked, have you had to use the footage? Twice now police have got my footage. Yes, I have. I have used the footage. Hang on, I'll get back to that. Mark just said, I've been using Frigate the last year as an NVR. Been rock solid, integrates with Home Assistant. Yeah, I've heard good things about Frigate. So that is something to check out. Open. Now, as for where... Oh, I just heard a car revving outside. I wonder if that was Chip and Immy. It may have been. Would you, for the 100mm scale... sorry, I'm just trying to parse this comment. So Shubham asked, would you be willing to share what camera you decided on after testing for pick and place at the 100mm scale? Oh, okay. Right. I get it now. So the camera that I ended up going for, I will look it up so that I'm giving you the exact correct thing. I will check it out in a minute. Actually, I will bring this up on a different screen because I have a link to the buyer. I'm the seller. I'm the buyer. What am I doing? NVR. I need to add a device. How do I do this? Edit? What's that? No, drag channel here, live view. Which one of these? Here we go. Oh, it's found it. It's found a... I think it's already discovered the thing that is on my network. So I don't know if that password's going to work. Username or password error. Okay. I'm going to... I should have a record of it here. Cabling. Yeah, alright. Where is my password? I'm doing this on the different screen, obviously, so that you can't see it.
Creations said, don't forget affiliate links, linking face.
Haha, affiliate links. Yes, I will provide an affiliate link. Where is the password for my NVR? I thought I had a record of it here. Oh, okay, there it is. Let's see. Edit. I'm going to drag this off the screen again so you can't see it. Now, is that going to work? Login succeeded. Check this out. Okay, so this is... Hang on, can you see my hand? Yes. Oh, if you look, see on the screen just there? I'm going to move my arm up. Woo, there's my hand. You can just see it. Imi says, "'Tis us, we are munching on some breakfast." Very good. Yeah, so this is the camera view. What is all that dinging going on? Is that from this? Maybe it's movement alarms. If I move now, Yeah, PTZ. Oh, no, not PTZ. Where is it? I think it's movement alarms on this camera. Let's see if we can. We might be able to show where the car is. Hang on. How do I get to other? Here we go. Camera view. Oh, look, you see the blue car. Let's go to this one. You see the car moving? That is outside the box, and Imogen Anne just in my driveway right now. Let's make this bigger. So, who was it that suggested getting the app? Whoever it was, thank you. Was it Mitchell? I don't know. Yeah. So, there you can see the Chip's driving lights there. Time to do some gardening. It most definitely is. Oh, you can see the fire pit there, which we haven't used for the last few barbecues. I used that sort of middle of last year.
Time, grin, ha ha.
No, not that time. Yes. Now these things, you see this thing right in the center here at the front. How do I stop that? How do I turn off the alarms? Let's see. File directory screen, blah, 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 blah. No, I don't want that. Other settings.
Shubham Gupta says that Andrew Gordon brought it up.
There we go. Play sound at motion. I'll turn that off. Maybe that'll stop all of the dinging going on. Henrik said, what's the beep though? I'm curious. Yeah, I think that was motion detection. Because I'm running the Reolink app now, it was detecting things like the shadows moving on the image here. There's a tree that's blowing around. Now these things, I believe, are aloe vera plants, and they're huge. Like these ones in the back here, they're bigger than me. They're over my head. So, yeah, I should get the fireplace going too. Yeah, maybe. We got plenty of wood. A few weeks ago, Stuart brought over a heap of wood offcuts from the sawmill, and I've got it all piled up just inside the roller door. So for those of you who haven't been here before, don't know if you can see my cursor. See up in the top left there. Okay, what do you see in the bottom left? That's my front door. It's currently propped open with a brick because it's such a nice day and I wanted to get some air coming through. The street is out there to the right. There are Chip and Immy sitting in the car, and my driveway is up here behind all of these overgrown plants. There's a big green dump bin, and then there is a big roller door just at the end of the driveway.
Snap a piece off it. It should smell nice.
Yeah, I'm sure it would. We could snap off a little piece of aloe plant, and then I could rub it on my face. I can bring a chain and say bye-bye to plants if you need. Oh, thanks for the offer, Gavin. So at some point, yes, this is going to get redone. Both, now one of the things that Chris was talking about not long before he died was designing a new front garden for me. And my sister also wants to redo it, and Chris's stepdad and mum want to help with it as well. So I've got a few people who want to take over managing this front garden area. We want to have a clearer area. So there are some big trees there as well. This camera is high up looking down, so you can't really tell, but this is all under a couple of really big trees. And what we want to do is clear out an area sort of towards the right of this image. Looks like Immy's coming up the driveway. And then waving to the camera. Yep. And then, so we want to clear the right-hand part of it to some extent and put like a big picnic table, lunch table in there, probably attached to concrete, like bolted to concrete. Hey, Immy!
Mitchell R said hello. We see you.
And some chairs and things. So yeah, we need an outdoor area that we can sit out there under the shade of the trees. And oh, there are Chip's legs. He's walked up to the front door, to the roller door. All right, so I'm just going to change cameras. G'day. I'm going to go back to the four-way view temporarily.
Mitchell R said half a chip.
Half a chip, yeah. Why have I got no camera on channels 2 and 4? I think it selected the wrong channels. What if... Yeah, because it's not 2 and 4. Let's go to this. There we go. Okay, so this is the view from inside the pick and place machine. And you can see the 4 nozzles sitting towards the back left there. You can see the front. So where my cursor is now, that is the front of the feeders mounted across the back of the machine. And over here on the right, you're looking down the length of the feeders that are on the front of the machine. And then you can see the conveyor belt running through it here. So this is it's just a standard Reolink IP camera that you would normally use for home security, that sort of thing. It's just that it's physically stuck inside the enclosure of the pick and place machine. So this is like...
Mitchell said NBN dead.
I don't know. No, according to YouTube analytics, I've got an excellent connection. And the... yeah, so this is like we've got our head stuck inside the machine. And when it's moving, I can see that. So let's see, what other views do we have? Oh, and this one. So this... Oh, look, Chip just walked up to the front door. So there's me. This is a live view of the lab right now. So if I turn around and go... that the camera is up in the corner looking down towards the door and this whole lab area. G'day, come on in. And she's hanging out in the garden somewhere.
I can see bits of my legs now too.
Yes, twice. From the front camera and from the
I don't think you need more cameras.
overview camera.
You're having too much fun with the ones you've got.
No, but I need them in better places.
We were only able to listen to you as we were driving, so we kind of kept up. But,
Okay. You might need to mute the phone.
yeah.
So,
Mitchell R. said, "Good day, half a chip."
They all, those birds that chase away the magpies are probably Indian miners.
yeah,
Very angry birds.
very angry.
Notification. 45 minutes remaining.
45 minutes.
40, is it really 45 minutes? It doesn't seem like it should be that long. Yeah. So that is the overall view. What can we see in here? Nothing much interesting. Anyway, anyone who comes to the barbecue will get to come and hang out here and see it in person. So back to multi-view, multi-pass, and that view there. Okay, so a bit of banana bread. Ooh, that sounds very, very tempting. Maybe just a little corner off it.
Yeah, just grab a piece. I haven't touched it yet.
I'll just grab a corner off it.
That's all right. I just thought, yeah,
Thank you.
Might be starting. So yeah, it was your back that was causing you trouble.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to mute for a second while I munch on this. Yes, the dishwasher is gone. The water cannon is back where the dishwasher was for a while. No, it wasn't a dishwasher. It was a clothes washer.
That's right.
A washing machine. Henrik asked, is the exhaust hood working? Yes, it is. And what you can see in that view is this is the Bernie Boy 2000. I still need to make up the label to go on it with the, what was it? The Steve Reflow Oven Manufacturing Concern, or whatever the name of the company was. So I need to make up the label to go on the Bernie Boy.
Bernie Boy 2020.
Yeah, 2024. No, I need to figure out how many watts it is and make it that, like the Bernie Boy 7300, the Bernie Boy 7K, whatever it is. So that is the body of the reflow oven, and then this is a hood that there are holes under here that go through into the cavity, and the exhaust gets sucked up here. So there is an exhaust fan.
_creation said, where are the Steve and Steph mounts?
Where are the Steve and Steph mounts? On my chair.
It's just gaffer tape.
It's just gaffer tape, yeah. But yeah, Steve and Steph should be in there maybe. Yeah, so there is an extraction fan. This tube goes up through, it goes up through a hole in the mezzanine, and then there is an extraction fan up on the next level, and that sucks the fumes out of the oven and vents them out. Mm-hmm.
You want a bit more?
No thanks. It's kind of hard to eat and talk.
Imogen Ann said, outside the box, you shouldn't reveal such secrets.
Why? What did I say?
That Steve and Steph's mounts were gaffer tape.
Ah. Yes, they like bondage. They just not public.
Well,
This must be out the back.
for other people who... Hang on a second. Coughing was annoying. Alright, so for people who are not going to make the barbecue today, for people who do make the barbecue, you can come and see this in person. A little explanation of what you can see here. You can see the 3 KO pick and place machines, the one down at the far end. So this is looking from the back of the room. The front of the room down here where the cursor is waggling around, this is the glass wall between my front lab area and the production room, the cleanish room. So that's a big glass sliding door. And then the entry point where the PCBs come into the first machine is right at the far end. And you can see the feeders hanging off the side there. And you can see the second machine has 0 feeders in it, and the third machine has some unloaded feeders. I'm using it as a feeder stand right now. They're just sitting in it as a way of keeping them out of the way. So what I need to do is link these machines with conveyors, including an inspection conveyor between the third machine and the oven. And you can see at the moment the height of the conveyor. So the oven is way up here. The conveyor is up off the floor. It actually needs to come up even slightly higher. So there is an SMEMA standard for conveyor height. I can't remember what it is, but it's something like 940, in fact I've got it written on the wall, 940 to 965 millimeters is the standard from the floor to the conveyor. So if you round it and say like 950 millimeters off the floor is how high it should be. And this oven actually needs to come up slightly higher again than it currently is. And these machines need to come up a lot, like nearly a meter, I think. No, not a meter. What am I saying? That would make it way too high. They've got to come up, I think, about 500 mil from where they currently are. Because what you can see just there, I wonder if we can zoom. Can I zoom? That'll be a full screen thing. I wonder if I can just pinch and zoom. Nope, that doesn't work. Can't select anything. Nope, I don't know. What happens if I do that? Full screen. It's already in full screen mode. So anyway, that is the exit of the conveyor from the third machine, which has to come way up. It needs to be up more like the height of the conveyor should be close to where the top of the machine currently is. So it's going to have to come way, way up.
Austin's _creation said outside the box, grab the tape measure.
Austin's trying to give you a task, but No, I've already measured it. There's a
we can make another observation that
yeah.
having the deck higher would make it easy to work with, because you're always getting in there with your hands, and having it up here rather than down there would make things a bit better. You'd be able to see better and be easy to manipulate.
Yeah, and the contents of the machines, at the moment working on these machines, if I have a cover open, I've got to bend down to get inside it, whereas they should be up at a comfortable working height when you're standing. So they are going to come way up.
But raising them up wouldn't make them more unstable and wiggly?
Depends on what they're on. At the moment they're sitting on trolleys with casters under them, which is really bad. Because it means that they are not on a very stable surface, and as the machine moves, it's relying on the mass of the machine to stop the contra movement. So what these should be on ideally is big steel stands that are probably sitting on something like anti-vibration pads on the floor.
Or a raised platform with rails so they can all move backwards and forwards with respect to each other. So
something like that.
If you need to.
Yeah, something like that. So they need to be adjustable to get them all aligned accurately, which is a challenge that Sion has faced. Getting his line sorted was a really big pain.
You've had to move them sideways a little bit at some stages, haven't you?
Yeah, I have, but the thing is that because at the moment there is no conveyor between them, the alignment doesn't have to be accurate. When you've got a conveyor, like when you've got conveyors that have to be aligned, you've got to be down to like sub-millimeter accuracy with your positioning of each of the machines.
Well, they can catch.
Yeah, all boards will catch as they try to transit between the conveyors. The conveyors have slightly flared ends on them, so that as something comes in, if it's not quite aligned, it will tend to self-center. But still, you have to be reasonably accurate with the positioning. So I need height adjustment, and I also need positional adjustment of each of the machines. Sion said, yep, and then you bump them and you're screwed. Yeah, so you've got to be really careful. Yeah, Amanda said, build up the base with wind down stand feet. And Sion said, thin PCBs won't self-center, they instantly get jammed. Yeah, that sucks.
Sion's got a lot of experience.
Yes. These machines have, you can probably just see where my cursor is, there is a big black foot. There are 4 of those, obviously. That is like an anti-vibration foot, and it's on, I think it's an M12, or it might even be bigger, like an M16 or something bolt, which is adjustable through the bottom of the machine. So each of the 4 feet of the machine can be adjusted individually, and the entire machine can be raised and lowered, I think maybe like 50 millimeters or so. There's a fair amount of travel in them, and then you can adjust the 4 of them independently in order to get the angle of the machine right, get it totally flat. So I think what I'm going to do is weld up steel frames, basically like a big box. There'll be a steel box that goes under this with a pad, or with 4 pads, that this machine will sit on. And there are a couple of different ways to do this. I could either hard mount the machine onto the frame, so build a frame and then remove these adjustable feet and bolt the machine hard to the frame, and then have the adjustment at the bottom of the frame. So then have adjustable feet on that allow me to level the whole thing, so the frame and the machine as a single unit. Or I could have adjustment independently, like between the frame and the machine. And I don't really know yet what is the best approach. I am undecided on that, and I don't have experience with doing this sort of thing. So what I should probably do is look at how people that do know what they're doing do this. So, okay. That's right. I was talking about for people who aren't making the barbecue today. If you don't make the barbecue, this is like your little preview. So I did do a tour anyway a few weeks ago on a live stream. But anyway, you can see the shelves down this wall. I call this the left wall because normally my perspective is from the other side of this glass wall looking down here. So this wall, which is on your right when you're looking from the back of the room, is on the left. And you can just see up there, there are a few dozen solder stencils. So these are framed stencils, all stacked vertically, sitting on the shelf. Because the entry point is down this end. This is the solder paste end where the process starts. So all the solder stencils are stored up here on the shelf. Next to that is boxes with things like reels of parts in them. You can see the end of some reels here sitting in a box, and more parts and things in all of these containers. And just up here there are bare PCBs in storage. So this is all of the entry, this is the start of the production process. Everything that, yes, there's me in the distance. Woo. Yeah, this is the start of the process. Bare PCBs, solder paste, solder stencils. Sitting on the floor here, you can see a whole lot of parts drawers. They are going to be moved out into the front area. They're going to go here where the these boxes are currently on those shelves. You can see my old pick and place machine here in the back right corner. There's Mickle Make It, the homemade pick and place machine. And in the middle, all of these boxes, these are things like part stock and small project boxes and things. Then up the top, there are more parts. This is all part storage through this area. And towards the right, you can just barely see it above the picture of my face. These are trays of PCBs in progress. So these are typically PCBs that have been reflowed, but they have not yet gone through testing or so they've come off the end of the line, they've come out of the reflow oven on this bit of conveyor here, and then they've been stuck in trays and stored up here. And then from here they typically get taken out into the front room, and then Tom and Tyra do all the through-hole soldering. Like they'll attach headers and connectors and all of those sorts of things, and then testing, etc. is done in there. And yeah, there are a couple of feeders and reels and things just lying around in there. What else do you see in there? Nothing that interesting. Oh, you can see the green here. That is, in fact, this is something you could do, Chip. So, Chip, if you walk up to that glass door, you'll see him come up to there, slide it open, watch what happens to that green strip. Does it change? Yes. See, the strip's gone red. So, and close it, and it goes green. So the that LED strip, you're looking at it edge on.
System notification, 30 minutes remaining.
That's actually the edge of a double door which goes out into the main factory area. And the reason for having that is it's possible to roll machines on the cement floor. We can bring equipment in and out through that door from the main factory without having to go through this clean area.
A few millimetres of open. You can trick it.
Yeah.
It's basically air tightness indicator.
Yeah, that's right. Air tightness indicator. So it's detecting whether the room is sealed or not, just by sensing the position of this door.
Pressure differentiation switch, so you know that.
Yeah, well, that's the goal. The
would you be able to get it
if you
1.9 bar or something in there? Do you reckon?
I don't know.
Use it pop when you walk in.
But if you can see where my cursor is, so you can see this vertical green line. That is one side of the roller door. There, just on the wall right next to it, there is a little white box. My cursor is just circling around it. That is an environmental sensor. So that does barometric pressure and temperature and humidity, and it reports it back to MQTT.
Just a plug from a 737, or was it an Airbus?
Yeah, it was a Boeing something.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, so we've got environmental sensing in the room, and the idea is that once I have positive pressure air being pushed in here. I'm not even sure if I need it now. Now that I've had this in operation for a few months, I'm not entirely convinced that I need positive pressure. But anyway, that was the idea of having sensors inside there so we could detect when the room was sealed and we had positive air pressure.
For some reason I was thinking negative, but yeah, positive, of course.
Yeah, well, just it's negative from our perspective out here. We are negative pressure compared to the clean room.
1.01 bar or something to make it work.
Yeah, it doesn't need much. But you can also see there's a big hole right here. There are still holes that need to be sealed up. There is a, that's a cavity behind a bit of structure. There's a Dexian upright directly behind that bit of structure, and I still need to seal that off. I've actually got to put a door on there because I want to be able to get in into that cavity area. Not that I would need to very often, but I don't want to just put a piece of timber across it and totally seal it. I want to be able to get into that cavity. So I'm going to make some kind of a door that goes across it.
Is it already keeping itself cleaner in there, despite your feet dragging dirt in? Is it easy to clean? And
yeah, so you probably couldn't hear that, but what Chip just asked was whether the room is already keeping itself cleaner than the rest of the factory, and the short answer is yes. It's just looking at it now, like the floor is polished white, essentially. All the walls are white and it looks clean. If anything, if there's any dirt or anything in there, it shows up pretty quickly. And so I've got a robot vacuum cleaner that I run around surprisingly rarely, like maybe every few weeks I will run that. And that's really all it takes just to keep it clean. And the amount of dust and things that build up in there is very, very minimal. So there's still more work to do with sealing the ceiling. Right now, it's got beams across the top, and then there's yellow tongue on that, which is the floor of the mezzanine above. And some dust can come down from that, but I'm going to put a second liner on the inside, which will provide an air cavity as well, which will help with insulation, and that will also help prevent dust coming down. Yes. Yes, so Amanda said positive pressure will reduce the dust getting into the clean room. Yes, exactly. Alright, so getting back to Austin's comments, I saw this earlier and I was intending to return to it, which is about the stands for the pick and place machines. So Austin said, I feel like one giant bottom would be nice, as you could make the bottom storage shelves and such. And by giant, I mean long enough to be used as one piece for all three machines, like one giant table. Yeah, so I have thought about doing it that way. There are a few different approaches here. If I made one enormous table, essentially, that all three machines sat on, there are definite advantages to that. Now, there are disadvantages, but there are advantages. So, like all engineering, it's a trade-off. The main disadvantage is lack of flexibility, because I am still undecided about whether I'm even going to commission the third machine, or if I'm going to move it out of the way and give myself a bit of extra length, because I want to put a solder paste machine on the front end. And right now that would end up jammed right up close to the door. There wouldn't be a whole lot of room there. It could probably be done, but by the time there is an inspection conveyor in here, which takes up more width, these machines are reasonably close together at the moment. And if there is an inspection conveyor that's, say, 1 meter long, that is separating the third machine from the reflow oven, that will push the line out a bit longer, and I'm going to be cramped at the end. What I really need is probably another 2 to 3 meters of length of the clean room. It's like it's close, but just not quite there. So I don't have room at the other end, for example, for a board stacker coming off the pick and place machine. The end of the pick and place machine here is currently maybe 1.5 meters from the end wall, and you need room to be able to walk around the end of it. So there isn't room for this to come into a board stacker. And if I got a bigger reflow oven, so this reflow oven is definitely a temporary measure. It's been fantastic getting me to this stage, and it was the $200 Facebook special. So I'm really glad that I've got it. It's so much better than the old drawer oven, but it is it's now 33 years old, and it was designed back in the day when lead-free solder didn't even exist. Or maybe it existed 33 years ago, I don't know. Probably did. But anyway, it's a modern ovens are much better than this one, so it does the job. And hey, Austin says, come on.
Austin's _creation said we discussed it before. PCB elevator. Lol.
Yes, PCB elevator. Yes. No, I've got a better idea. PCB train. I want something like a G-scale model train with like flatbed cars, so that what we can do is we can have the train pull up on the exit of the oven, and then the PCBs come out of the conveyor and then get dropped onto the train, and then the train can take them off somewhere.
We have to call you Malcolm.
Malcolm, yes. Then I just need the car that splits in half.
My more favourite movie.
So Chip asked, how difficult would it be to reconfigure the glass doors to allow machines right up to the glass? The issue would just be being able to walk around. It's yeah, so when you come in through this glass door, I often walk down this side, or down this side. So you need to be able to get into both aisles. The front, so this is the front aisle on the left, and the back aisle on the right. You need to be able to get to both of them. And if we bring the machine up, so the thing to keep in mind is that the line itself will be unbroken. It won't be possible to walk between any of the machines because they'll all be joined by conveyors, which means the only way you can get around between the two aisles is either right at the front or right at the back. And if either the front or the back are butted up hard against the wall, it turns the shape into a U instead of an O. And it means that you'd have to walk all the way around in order to get to the other side. So it would make transit a lot more difficult. I really want to keep walkway access across the front and also across the back. So getting back to Austin's suggestion of a huge table, I do kind of like that idea. What I could do is make up a very big steel framed table and put a table, like put a top on it, because my original plan was just like a skeletal frame and build 3 boxes, like 3 skeleton steel boxes, and have each machine sitting on one box. Now the advantage of that is that you can move them around relative to each other and you can reconfigure them, but the thing is, how often are they actually ever going to get reconfigured? And if they were all sitting on the same tabletop, say I built an enormous bench that was big enough for all 3 of these machines to sit on, then they would all be sitting on the same flat surface, which essentially guarantees they're at the same height, apart from fine adjustment that you can make through the feet, for example. So all of them could be... The other question, of course, is how to get them up onto that thing. Because keep in mind that each one of these weighs somewhere in the region of 300 kilos, and we don't have the room to get the forklift in here. So we would have to do something like winch each of them up onto the beams.
Not on a barbecue.
So on a barbecue day,
Get a bunch of dudes.
just get a bunch of people and just pick them up. Well, I suppose if you've got one on each corner, then each person is only lifting about 70 kilos.
Only, that's quite a bit.
Yeah, it is quite a bit.
Get one in each middle as well.
Yeah. But I suppose with enough people, you can pick up the car. So, yeah, Scott says, pick a barbecue day. Making things suggested, build them separately and bolt them together. Yes. David said harmonics on a single table. That is actually an interesting consideration. I've got to think that one through, because the machines do shake.
_creations said engine hoists or cradle lifts.
Yes, engine hoists. And what we would need is 3 engine hoists. But I think probably the easiest thing would be to hoist them up onto the beams. Because the thing is that what you're looking at here, these white beams running across the top, these are Dexian pallet racking beams. And they're rated to, I'd have to check, like, it's based on the span and various other factors. But in any case, they're rated to something in the order of a couple of tons.
But that's
So
across them, John.
that's across them, not in one point.
If you need to put a spreader bar up on it. So
Yes. So what we could do is, and also there are, what you can't really see is that there are beams running lengthwise on top of these as well, also attached to these. But with a combination of like a spreader bar or slings that go across multiple beams, lifting a few hundred kilos would not be a problem. So what we could do is put slings under these and use hoists and basically just crank these up so they're up, sitting up right near the ceiling. We'd have to lift them up till they are close to the beams, assemble the table or do whatever is necessary underneath, and then lower them back down again. And then once they're down in position, we could move them around to get the position accurate. Now the thing is that these machines do move a lot, and well, Austin says, I think if you use thick steel tubing and top it with a plate, it should be fairly tolerant to harmonics or even a concrete countertop. Yeah, the other thing is just filling it with lots of mass. So
also thinking in terms of the harmonics, you could make them their timing slightly different and not just out of step, because that would not work. You'd have to make the timing like one machine slower than the other, so it would be made up for with the intermediate system that you've devised. But to have the first one running 5% faster than the next one, for example, so the harmonics would at times be in harmony, but at other times they'd go out of sync, so it wouldn't get a really big harmonisation happening.
yeah, I think that would be really hard to do. Yes, that would be the goal though, is to not have them moving in the same direction at the same time. But coordinating them could be difficult.
15
But
minutes
they're
remaining.
always doing different things anyway. They're picking
Yeah,
up
that's right.
parts of the board, so they're not likely to be making very similar movements.
Yeah, they wouldn't be. It'd all be kind of random in terms of the timing in relation to each other.
When I visualised a big platform with rails, I also visualised it having very large casters, so you could shift the whole lot sideways a few inches if you needed to, and that means you'd need it really well braked, but that also introduced more flexibility.
Yep.
So it would make it harmonise badly. But,
Yeah, so David
we've got all things
said
outside the box.
3 steel tables with granite tops bolted together with rubber grommets so the harmonics don't carry through and only a tiny amount of movement. And damn it, now I'm solving another problem I don't need to solve. Yes, this is the this is the rabbit hole that you dive down once you start doing these sorts of things. Yeah, so lots of mass. The front machine, so the one that is in the back in this view, at the moment I am running it at about 50% speed, because if I make it run faster, the whole machine just jumps around all over the place. So it's currently only running at about 1300 components per hour in terms of like actual throughput, measured throughput. It could be doing to like 2,500, no problems. But when I turn it up that far, the whole thing just is shaking. Because it's sitting on this trolley with casters under it, it really needs to be strongly attached to some very solid base with more mass involved. Yes, Dion said maybe work on the KISS principle. Yes, keep it simple, stupid. So this is one of those things where all of these parameters and opposing requirements will buzz around in my head for a while, and eventually it'll sort of filter into the output that I want. So I could make one big table, which does appeal to me in many ways. Something that Austin pointed out is it means there's lots of storage underneath, because it could be like a big area that is relatively usable. The advantage of that is that it gives a single very large
Amanda
flat
Thompson
surface.
Said, John Plug Superhouse Shop. I got my order this week and now I can shut down all my desk with one command when I go to bed. I will buy some more later on this year.
Cool. I'm glad you got it, Amanda. So Amanda's just saying I should plug the Superhouse shop. Okay. The Amanda bought some Z-Wave power boards just recently, and so cultic. Yeah, so Amanda, I'm glad to hear that you got them and that it's working for you. So if anybody else wants to buy stuff from me, please buy stuff from me. Superhouse.tv. Yeah, so you can see the color changing here because Chip is playing around with seeing how little he can move the door and still have it trigger. Yeah, it's only a magnetic sensor. It's just like a reed switch. Yeah, so a single big platform. Now, one of the things that I really like about this approach is that with a single big platform, it means that the machines can sit on the platform and the conveyors can sit on the same platform. It means that I don't have to build a big structure for the conveyor. The conveyor itself is just another thing on the platform. And in fact, that could be useful for the inspection area, maybe not. I don't know. You need to get your legs under it and be able to get up to reach the conveyor easily. So, yeah. Yeah, well, I'm currently using it for everything. So, David said voice control for turning off all the Z-Wave power boards. Yeah, I've got all of that linked through She Who Shall Not Be Named. I should have renamed it so that I can do this. Okay, I'm going to do this, so hopefully this isn't going to affect anybody. Alexa, turn off the clean room.
Okay.
And you can see the lights just went out. And I've got control over things like, well, now you can see, now the lighting has changed, you can see into the front area a lot better through that camera. Things like the reflow extraction, the air compressor, all of that sort of stuff. It's all controlled through Z-Wave power boards and all voice controlled. And there is also She Who Shall Not Be Named inside the clean room. So when I'm in there, I can just talk to the machines and tell them what to do. Okay, so Shubham said, this is a big subject, but it's a really important one, and I want to get to this, which is, I was wondering what you had for an absolute beginner wanting to get into this, like an educational kit for kids, except I'm the kid who's never soldiered anything other than LEDs
Really listen to you?
and some big old resistors. Mitchell, do they listen to me? Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, so yeah, okay. Shubham, you have asked a very good question, and the answer to that is Dick Smith's Fun Way into Electronics. And this is something that I've talked about on the stream in the past as something that I want to do. and it is now, okay, I went and had dinner with Mitch and his partner last week, and so some of you may remember Mitch is the friend of mine who has been using KiCad for a very long time, and and has offered to do a tutorial for me either in private or on a stream. And my goal is to switch over to using KiCad for all of my PCB work, so I'm going to be taking Mitch up on that offer. And one of the motivating factors for that is that I want to do the Funway into Electronics re-release, and David said, your first project is to make a flux capacitor to go back in time and get the kits new. I already have many of the kits new. I've been collecting them for a while. Well, collecting them since I was, 10 years old or something. But recently as well. And, sorry, I've just been thrown by another comment by Shubman, but I'll get back to that. So I have already redesigned many of the Funway Volume 2 kits using Eagle, and produced the boards. So I have modern kits for quite a few of the Funway Volume 2 projects already done, ready to go. And but before I start releasing things, I want to redo them in KiCad and make sure that all of the designs are as open as possible. So instead of requiring someone to use Eagle, which isn't even going to exist 5 months from now, or Fusion to open those files, I want to make it possible to open them and edit them in a fully open source CAD program, and I want to redo them in KiCad. So that's part of my motivation as well. So this is getting back to Shubham's question about basic educational things. One of my goals for this year is to go live with Funway Funway.club, I think it was. Funway.club. I've got to see if I can find, Funway Electronics. I can't even remember what domain I registered. Anyway, there is a typo in, yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, I have the domain for re-releasing those kits, and I'm going to be doing that fairly soon. So I've got to get into KiCad, start actively using it. I'm going to take Mitch up on his very generous offer to give me some a quick start tutorial intro into that, and I will
system notification.
Redo them.
5 minutes remaining.
5 minutes.
The camera clock says Eastern Standard Time as well.
Yeah, it doesn't change for daylight savings time. Which reminds me, yes, cameras. They have been used for twice. They have been used for their actual intended purpose. Once once police needed them for evidence, and this was not for stuff happening inside. This was for stuff happening in the street. And so that was, in fact, it wasn't even here. It was at my former house where these cameras were set up beforehand. I had a situation where my front door camera captured a car in the street, including its number plate, and it turned out that it was a stolen car, and the cop, it had been stolen or something by the person.
_creations said,
I
don't
think
forget
that's
the
Keith.
PNP inspection camera link and information.
Oh yes, that's right. Thank you for reminding me of that. So the camera captured the number plate of this car, the stolen car, and I provided that to the police, and they used it somehow. I don't know how, but they did. And the other time was when I had an Australia Post delivery driver try to steal a package from me Yeah, I've told that story in the past, but the short version was that the delivery driver came to my door and claimed that he'd delivered it, but took the package away again, and the camera footage showed him walking back to the truck with the package in his hand, and then and I said it was never delivered, the package was taken away again, and the driver said no, I delivered it, and I showed Australia Post the video footage of the driver taking the package, and miraculously the package reappeared. Yes, he did come to the door. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. Keith just jumped in front of the camera. So I'm going to wrap this up because it is barbecue day today. But first I'm going to follow up Austin's question about the P&P inspection camera. What did I have? Parts orders. I'm going to look up my parts orders spreadsheet and look up camera, microscope camera, not that one. Sorry, I'm looking in a spreadsheet at the moment. Here we go. This was the one that I used. In fact, what I'm going to do is... Can I... Oh, I can't take that up to there because this one is full screen. Alright, I've got to unfull screen this. Exit full screen. Boink. And close that. And in fact, I'm just going to quit out of the Realink client. So, here is my parts order spreadsheet, which many of you will have seen before. So this is I keep a record of all the times that I order things on AliExpress, and what I ordered, and how many, and the cost, and the tax, and the date that I ordered it, and then the date that it arrived, and it calculates days of transit, whether it's arrived yet. So you can see I'm currently waiting on... so this is very useful because often I order things and then it might take a month to arrive, so I forget what I've ordered, and so I can see that I'm currently waiting on some battery management system boards and some pin headers. Oh look, you can see the time of flight sensors here that I ordered for the conveyor project, and motors and speed controllers and standoffs and heat shrink and all sorts of stuff. So this is the one. Oh yeah, and this was my new microscope camera that I got a while ago. It was the ELP Mini 720p OV9712 USB industrial camera with a 6mm lens. And I think this one actually could not have an affiliate link, which is why... So this one, yeah, it's not eligible for an affiliate link. I'm going to drop this link into the chat.
Stream is over.
It almost is over. Camera used in my P&P machine is this one. I'm not sure if the 6mm lens is the best option, but it was the one that was recommended on the OpenPNP mailing list. So this particular camera is like the default. It's just the go-to that is used for OpenPNP. Wow, that's a loud bird. Yeah, it's not necessarily the fastest or anything like that, but it's the one that a lot of people use when they're building their own pick and place machines. So it is very well tested. If you use this camera and you talk about it on the OpenPNP mailing list, there are probably people who will help you. So oh, it says one sold. I wonder if that was me, because this is the place I bought it from. So yeah, the 6mm lens version of this camera is the one that is currently inside the KO, and it is also the same as the... And I've also bought another one which is going to go into the second KO. It's still in its box, sitting there waiting to be installed. Yeah. Shubham says it's only 25 USD on the US side. Yeah, that sounds about right. 25 US dollars is close to 40 Australian dollars, give or take. It's about 64 cents to the dollar right now. So, yeah, it's in that ballpark. Some call it fun, says Barbecue Day, and I don't see Steve or Steph. Well, you might.
Steph shortly.
Yeah, you might. Well, I think the implication is that you might be eating a Steve burger if you come to the barbecue. But no. There is Steph. Sorry, Steve. Steve is no longer with us. No, he's here. So he is not on the barbecue today. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go because I need to do some barbecue preparation and I'm tired. So thank you for coming along, and yes, have a fun barbecue. I will have a fun barbecue, Sion. You should come. You really should come. You don't have to rush over. Technically, well, the barbecue kind of start-ish at 12:30ish, but that's only because that gives me a chance to run late on the stream as usual, and it just goes for however long it goes for. So yeah, if you wanted to come on over, Sion, you would be very, very welcome. Oh, okay. Sion says, I'm writing multi-touch tracking firmware. I'm in a bad mood. Yeah, that would put anyone in a bad mood. I understand. So stop writing multi-touch tracking software and come to my barbecue. Okay, so thanks everybody. I'm going to go now and start putting out some food. And I will talk to you all really soon. I will see some of you in the next hour or so, I guess. Okay, thank you. See ya.